Think your thoughts are your own? Think again. Every belief, every fear, and every single preference you hold has been quietly shaped and molded by forces you rarely, if ever, notice. Stay with me for the next few minutes, and I promise I'll show you exactly how the world around you is constantly rewiring your head. We're going to pull back the curtain on 3 of the most powerful ways society engineers what you think, and more importantly, I'll give you the tools you need to start thinking for yourself. Now, when I say your thoughts are being manipulated, I need to be really clear. I'm not talking about a secret room of villains plotting to control your every move. The reality is actually far more complex, and in some ways far more unsettling. Manipulation isn't always sinister. Often it's just a system running on autopilot. Think of the difference between influence and manipulation. Influence is a friend recommending a book they loved. It's an open suggestion. Manipulation, on the other hand, is a system designed to guide you to a specific conclusion while making you believe you arrived there all on your own. It's about shaping the environment, the incentives, and the very language we use so that certain thoughts feel natural, easy, and correct, while other thoughts feel strange, difficult, or even dangerous. It's the invisible current of the river, not the hand on the rudder. These systems aren't necessarily evil. They're just designed to maintain order, to sell products, or to keep a particular group in power. But the side effect is that they can quietly hijack your own critical thinking. So, how does it work? Let's start with the most obvious and powerful mechanism: the media you consume. We like to think that we get information from the news or our social feeds, but we don't. We get stories. And every story comes with a frame. A frame tells you what's important, who the good guys and bad guys are, and how you should feel about the information you're receiving. Consider a simple protest. One headline might read, "Citizens demand action on environmental policy." The frame there is about civic duty, justice, and holding power accountable. It makes you feel supportive, making you more anxious, more tribal, and less capable of nuanced thought. We don't just get information, we get a story that tells us how to feel about that information. But this shaping of thought goes much deeper than just the screen you're looking at. It starts long before that, in the institutions that build our world. Our schools, our workplaces, our legal systems. Think about your education. Of course, it taught you valuable skills, but it also taught you a hidden curriculum. It taught you how to sit still for hours, how to respond to authority, what kind of knowledge is considered legitimate, and which histories are worth remembering. Every society, throughout all of human history, has used education to inculcate its values into the next generation. The curriculum, the Pledge of Allegiance, the very structure of the school day, all work together to normalize a certain way of seeing the world. Then you enter the workplace. You're handed an employee handbook that outlines not just your duties, but the company's values and mission. Performance reviews and corporate incentives reward certain behaviors, like conformity, risk aversion, or a relentless focus on profit, and discourage others. You learn to adopt the language and priorities of the institution to survive and succeed within it. You start talking about synergizing deliverables or optimizing workflows, not because it's natural, but because it's the accepted dialect of that world. Over time, these institutional pressures don't just change your behavior, they change your beliefs about what is normal, what is valuable, and what is possible. And if the media frames our present and institutions frame our past, then the digital world frames our future. This brings us to the third and perhaps most insidious mechanism: algorithms and the attention economy. Every time you like a post, watch a video, or even hesitate for a second on a picture, you are training an algorithm. But what are you training it for? You're not training it to make you smarter or happier or more well-informed. You are training it to do one thing and one thing only: to keep your eyeballs glued to the screen for as long as possible. So why is all of this so incredibly effective? It's because these external mechanisms are pushing on very old, very deep psychological buttons inside our brains. Our minds are wired with mental shortcuts or heuristics that helped us survive in the past, but can be easily exploited in the modern world. There's confirmation bias, which is our tendency to favor information that confirms what we already believe. When the algorithm feeds us what we want to hear, our brain releases a little hit of dopamine, rewarding us for being right. Then there's social proof. We are fundamentally social creatures, and we have a deep-seated need to belong. We look to others to determine how to act and what to believe. If a post has thousands of likes or a certain opinion is trending, we instinctively assume it has merit. We outsource our critical thinking to the crowd. There's also the principle of cognitive ease. Our brains are lazy. They prefer thoughts that are simple, familiar, and easy to process. A catchy slogan or a repeated headline requires less mental energy than grappling with a complex, nuanced issue. And finally, there's the authority effect. We are conditioned from birth by parents, teachers, and bosses to defer to figures of authority. When a story is presented by a person in a suit on a news channel or an influencer with millions of followers, we are more likely to accept it without question. These are not flaws in our thinking, they are features of the human mind. But in the modern information landscape, these features are being systematically targeted and exploited. Let's make this real with a couple of quick examples. Think about a recent consumer trend, maybe a specific brand of water bottle or a style of shoe that suddenly became a must-have item. Did millions of people independently decide this was the peak of function and fashion? Or was it a carefully orchestrated storm of influencer marketing, authority, algorithmic amplification on TikTok and Instagram, and a manufactured sense of scarcity, all playing on our deep need for social proof? You see others with it, so you feel you need it to belong. Following the money and the power is the first step. Second, notice what is being repeated. If you see the same message, the same talking point, across multiple channels, that is often a sign of a coordinated campaign, not an organic consensus. Third, and this is crucial, pay attention to what is missing. What perspectives are not being represented? What questions are not being asked? Often, the most powerful manipulation lies in the stories that are never told. And finally, ask yourself, who is amplifying this message? Are they a credible expert? Or are they someone who benefits from outrage and division? Just running through these simple questions can break the spell and give you the critical distance you need. Spotting it is one thing, but how do you actually push back and reclaim your own mind? The first and most powerful step is to consciously diversify your information diet. Actively seek out sources and thinkers you disagree with. Not to argue with them in your head, but to genuinely try to understand their perspective. This is hard. It creates cognitive dissonance, but it is the single best vaccine against the echo chamber. Second, you have to slow down your attention.